Alright, time for the next plan from Bentley.
Oh, yeah.
Well, according to these decrypted files, Octavio is pumping tar from
What? I can't hear you
Yeah,
all for the
seriously,
music.
I do believe not using music in the second game was the right choice for these segments.
ability to the people of Venice during his
No,
Wait, again.
I just don't get it. What's up with this gen and games with bad sound mixing?
the recital.
I tell you, the 6th generation of gaming was... well, okay.
Even
They were-
even Final Fantasy 12 had those problems. Then again, that was because there was so much stuff on the disc that they had to actually compress the audio, and as a result, everything sounded a bit garbled. It was actually documented when they had to do the Zodiac Age remaster.
The weird thing about the 6th gen is, I'd call it... No switching to here. The weird thing about 6th gen is this in the sense where it wasn't as experimental as the 7th gen, but it was quite experimental in the sense of trying to be more theatrical in some senses while still being games. The problem was that, well, because of that, the focus wasn't always on making stuff the most accessible or paying mind to stuff here and there. Like,
But that's the thing, Jova. That's kind of the thing, Jova. Even the PlayStation generation had some games with this kind of production value, just with inferior graphical fidelity, like say Metal Gear Solid. But those did manage to have a sound mixing that was decent. So I'm with Pedro. I wonder what happened here. Anyway, here's the
maybe
interesting
it's about
thing.
it getting slightly rushed.
For this mission, you start with Sly, but you're supposed to trick Carmelita into coming out. Yeah, this also premieres the start of Sly horrible Italian accent. And yes, the game will also call him out on that.
That didn't even sound Italian.
But I got feelings, pal. Maybe just
You're talking to me, fruitcake? Cause I don't need a date.
Okay.
eat missile, punk.
I'm not even gonna mention that.
This was a good plan, Bentley. Now we can just sit back and watch the fireworks.
Thank you. I pride myself on deviousness.
Maybe you should get a bit away from it.
There's a 90%
Yeah, this
chance that Carmelita will arrive and take out the entire Vincinetti gang.
Devious.
Inspector Fox, I'm glad to see you. This Vincinetti puke is giving me all I can handle.
Stand your ground, soldier. We'll take them together.
And yes, for the first time you start playing as Carmelita. And her controls are actually pretty sweet. It's very actually similar to Ratchet and Clank. You can strafe left and right, shoot with R1 if I recall correctly. You have a CQC attack with square, but you don't really need it. And you can high jump if you need, which is used to traverse high terrains.
What's with her hands doing the can pose every time?
Okay, that's basically her reloading the gun quickly, but it looks like she's flashing jazz hands each time.
It's seriously. I'm expecting the music to play every time she fires.
Please, this is not Japanese Crash Bash, don't worry. And yes, true to her form, much like in the previous games, her short pistol can can destroy enemies very quickly. Again, being a trilogy culmination of everything, they let you play a bit with the expectation of the players, because regularly playing as Carmelita was kind of kept a secret back then. It wasn't even advertised, if I recall correctly. And the mission does start for you controlling Sly, so you're thinking that you're supposed to run away from her again, and instead, no, they actually, finally take control of a character that you've seen from previous entries. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit, I thought Sly Cooper 3 is like the Arkham City of the Sly Cooper games for me, in terms of being definitely the best one gameplay-wise, as far as I'm concerned.
It's also mostly the fact that since the series at this point had already so many gameplay styles, they thought, well, might as well, differentiate a bit and assign these different gameplay styles to actual specific characters instead of letting you always controlling 1, 2, or 3, So I get the thought process behind it, and it gives good it gives way for a good story, you know, that involves multiple characters at the same time. And again, being the third title in a trilogy, being the culmination of everything, it's a good excuse as well.
Also, I can't believe I haven't pointed this out, but anyone else love the irony that,
Also, sorry, but by the way, there's no actual, you know, aside from the death animation, there's no actual animation if you fall into the water and you lose a bit of health. I don't know, but I guess it really was rushed on that front. Go on.
Does anyone else love the irony that of all the people, the fox is actually not the sly and witty bad guy, but actually the law official who is actually on the straight and narrow, ironically?
Jova, are you stereotyping foxes as sly and conniving?
Well, that's the thing, Pedro. I guess this series was a bit ahead of the curve on that.
I wonder, considering the thought process, I do wonder if it went through the same mentality of Star Fox in order to appease a bit to the Japanese audience, since in Japan foxes are viewed in a much more positive stereotype.
That would explain a lot.
In a bit of a mishmash, considering the raccoon is mostly associated instead to America.
Well, my work is done. Goodbye.
There you go, Carmelita.
To be fair, you did do something, so there's that.
Carmelita just single-handedly took out the helicopter.
It's more Sly who didn't do anything this time. He just knocked the door.
To be fair, Sly initiated.
If I could create, yes, it's time. It's time for some disguising. Oh man.
How'd you like disguising?
Oh, it is. It's just that with disguising, there comes to need a bit of interaction, and these guards have interesting things to say. Let's just say that.
Oh boy.
Checking up on each other. If we're going to get inside and at the blueprints, we can't raise any suspicion.
I'm with you. I'll approach the guard while in disguise and pretend to take the next shift. When the coast is clear, you head inside and swipe the blueprints. With me standing out front, no one will know that something's up.
There you go. From this point onward, especially for this chapter, you have a particular costume, the one that resembles the one of the guards. Now you will need to get near the guards. At that point, the guards will ask you a password, which is basically a combination of QT. You will have to input that in quick succession, and if it's correct, they will actually let you pass. You can do this, by the way, with all guards on the hub, not just the ones that recover for the mission, which is a pretty neat trick.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Groucho Marx mask. There we go.
Well, yeah, okay then. I guess Nick was really right. If the whole world is gonna see foxes as untrusting, then there's no point in being anything else.
Yeah, here it is.
Hey,
Fuck.
it's me.
Nice try.
Yeah. And basically, if you fuck up, you'll get essentially spotted immediately and you'll have to get away.
And he'll shoot you on sight. Okay, that's actually a pretty...
Again, to be fair, Bentley did mention in the briefing, after the events with the Ferris wheel, Don Octavio has raised security, essentially.
I don't love that strut.
You there.
Mm-hmm.
Vacuum room password.
Kid stuff. Here it is.
Soprano,
And yes, every button corresponds to a particular word.
Okay, I guess you're the relief shift. Thanks for coming early. I got a big plans for the night.
Oh, do you?
Good times, eh?
I can't believe that worked. You've got the worst.
I agree, Bentley. I agree. No, total offense.
Inside and grab the blueprints. No telling how long till another
license to take a while.
Are they gonna try a British accent?
That's the thing. Sly just loves it just to piss people off. Don't worry.
Well, it's kind of his shtick.
Pretty
Is he
much.
gonna try a British accent at some point?
Not that I know, actually. Sadly, lives. To be fair, the series has its own fair of British characters.
Yeah, like Arpeggio.
Or Dr. M. Dr. M actually, they actually asked Rick May to do a British accent. Also, yes, this is an actual coffee shop. Which, again, if you rent something, if you're into opera, you will know about stuff like Goldoni, which is basically a master of that, and set a lot of things in Venice, which, due to a combination of things, after discovering the New World, became very important in the preparation of coffee and cocoa beans. along with France and Austria. But anyway, for this mission, you need to scavenge the paintings, which suspiciously are themed to Mish episodes of the previous games. Weird. And find a combination of 3 numbers, which are distributed a bit everywhere over the painting. So it's not a matter of like you need to find the where's Wally, like only one. So if you have a keen eye, you can manage to find, potentially in a place or in other, and input these 3 digits into the safe, like this.
Makes you feel like a genius when you find them, doesn't it?
The challenge in this is mild, like it's in between. It's not too difficult, but it's not super easy. Oosh.
Also, you may notice that more plot-relevant items go for way less value.
Oh, to be fair, no. The ones like this do not actually give you a value because you don't have the resell. You just need to take them for yourselves.
I'm pretty sure that one said that it was worth just 1. Unless that was actually just the title, calling it Venice Blueprint 1.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, never mind then.
Don't worry. Alright, 1 down, 2 to go.
I'll meet you at the next coffee shop. Once you take the guard's post, I'll move in.
Second verse, same as the first.
I guess. There you go.
I think somebody would be a bit suspicious of coffee shops needing to be guarded so much.
Oh boy, here we go.
Halt! What's the midnight password?
Yeah, so sometimes the audio clips go in between.
Alto, bass, alto, alto.
Okay.
Also, what do you mean
boy.
midnight password? Is there a password for each time of the day or something?
Yes, hold on.
Yes.
I'm gonna eat like 3, no 4 plates of food.
Guess that you really like a cookie.
Mamma mia, I want to be buried.
Oh, that's a Mario reference.
No, that's
let's
a
just
common
say-
explanation.
No, I mean, that was dead ringer for the Mario.
Hold on, this
quiz.
exchange.
Any problems with that guy?
Said he wanted to be buried in his mom's pasta sauce.
Oh!
That's strange.
Yeah.
You know, I've read a lot of fan fictions that begin like that.
Just,
they don't end pretty.
No.
What?
Yeah, here we go.
Yes, Joy.
I'm not touching that with a 60-foot pole. Next caller.
Yeah.
Would you say they're saucy, Jova?
Stop.
Yes. Yep. Tio, you just implied that you're Jesus. We're allowed to have this one.
Yeah, so, sorry, for a second there I thought Tio secretly recorded me talking and put it in the game.
Anyway, next painting.
Tio, you spying on me.
Dweebs, I have better things to do with my time.
Do you?
Yes. Like
It's the
recording stuff, like this game.
Dibs. It's the Xbox that spies on you, not the Italians.
Also,
Crap, I've got one as well, shit.
Also, this theme is... this painting is themed after the Miss Ruby episode. Again, that's the thing, you would expect with this, like, some kind of conspiracy, but no, they're just various Easter eggs.
That would have actually been pretty cool, but, you know, Easter eggs work too.
No,
Also,
I get the idea. After Sly 2, they decided, again, to a more... Despite the still serious tone towards the end, to a more lighter and softer, set of episodes.
which is kind of weird because this game feels pretty conclusive, all things considered. So
yeah,
you'd think that they would want to tie it in.
There's a good Italian restaurant around here.
Enough with the sauce. Keep your focus.
Yeah.
We're on a job.
I mean,
I agree with Bentley.
I mean, to be fair, Italian food is good.
Right.
Oh no, it is. It's just that focus first.
Yes, now you're talking sense.
And then we eat.
Hey, you! Ferris wheel password, quickly!
Here's the password, Sly.
Soprano, alto, alto, soprano.
Okay.
Yeah, you know the code, but what's my nickname? There's only one Tony B on the payroll, and I'm famous in the family.
I'm a new just got called in from Roma.
They know me in Rome. I'm practically the mayor of organized crime.
Sure.
You telling me you never heard my
So, T, how would you rate these other guys as Italian?
It's again a bit over the top. Some of them fare a bit better, I would say that. But again, they were mostly directed to just sound over the top. It's some of the script that we go with which is questionable, like the pasta sauce thing from
So it'd be
before.
like if, so it's like the times I try and do one.
That's the thing, Waves. You're not really over the top in general, well, unless you really try. So when you try to do that, you're just more normal on that front.
Okay.
It's more similar to what Sly is doing.
Sorry about that.
Okay, you're legit.
Hey, you know Tony B's nickname?
Tony B. That cannoli, he's a, what's it called, a egomaniac. I don't know nothing about him. Don't wanna know.
Okay, sadly you need because it's a pigeon. Also, you need to find
I'm
a
there.
guard that actually. Alright, you need to find a guard that actually knows Tony B's nickname. So you need to essentially use the disguise to find one that actually has it. So basically, a bit of try and see.
Halt! Give me the cafe password.
Easy one. Here you go.
Maybe this one knows it.
Bass, soprano?
Yep. Yep, that's the password. Sometimes I forget it, you know.
You and me are both.
So why were you asking it for one then if you could barely remember it yourself?
Just to be sure.
Yeah, that's
protocol.
We could have said anything and that would have been the pass.
That's a very unimaginative nickname, the Killer.
Couldn't agree more.
I guess to be fair, if it's simple, it works.
What, did he, sorry, I missed the subtitle. Did he say that in Italian?
No. Also, I can tell you this, Jova, when it comes to, organization, criminal organization, sometimes we can get really creative with the nicknames. I can tell you that. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Wonder what Italian nicknames we don't have each.
Why?
Depends. It depends. It lives also on the content. Sometimes we be tied after, for example, animals. Other times after what the person is capable of doing. Other times about the feats they have accomplished. It really depends on circumstances. It's almost tribal in a way. It's very old school.
And then there's one of the many different terms for certain genitalia from what you've told me.
Well, that's part of the vocabulary, not necessarily tied to crime fighting, Jova.
Care of every player grounder from here to Sicily.
Ha ha ha, real funny. Least I'm not on guard duty during Carnival. Who's got the last laugh now, tough guy? Me, that's who.
Okay, cool story, bro.
Don't take too long. If that guy comes back to chat, I'm out of here.
Sly has stopped caring giving a shit about him.
He just smiles through the pain.
Pretty much. It's part of the job, Sly.
You've got real skill with this art decryption, Bentley. It always takes me like.
Again, does anyone wonder who the hell puts lasers in a coffee shop?
Sometimes Java security needs to be tight after 2001.
I guess. But damn,
And this painting resembles the Contessa mission in Prague.
Yeah. But yeah, damn, that must be some valuable coffee to hide it behind those security members.
Like I mentioned previously, Jova, along with France and Austria, my country in particular, Venice, it is still very renowned for the type of coffee and chocolate. In terms of hot chocolate they can do. So there, and again, it's a tradition that comes around since I think the 17th century, if not maybe a bit after that. Oh shit.
We need to hide out back in the safe house.
So basically, run towards the hideout.
The blueprints to the tar vacuum. Our work here is done.
And yeah, you have to do it with Bentley.
Nothing to see here, citizens. Just a bunch of criminals literally taking out explosives on the very streets of Venice. Again, I didn't know Venice was this seeped into crime to you.
To be fair, okay, maybe not really now, because mafia stuff is more concentrated in Naples, Naples, a bit in Rome and Sicily, but back in the day, I can imagine a lot of criminality attached to it, considering a lot, and I mean a lot of money was flowing through it due to commerce. See, Venice was mostly a city about commerce, so it has to be asserted that lots of thievery and type of money laundering schemes were present in some kind of fashion. It's just that it was done probably in a different way than it's done to us, especially because, type of different things that could be smuggled were different from today for obvious reasons. There wasn't really the same identical concept of drugs as today, for example.
And then it turns out that the Godfather had ties to the freaking Pope. Godfather Part 3 was an interesting sequel.
And now we have a director, a supposed better director's cut, but I haven't seen it yet, because quite frankly, it's Godfather 3 still. How much can it really be fixed?
I didn't hear. Oh wait, maybe I did hear about that. That's out now.
It's similar to how Rocky 4 is getting his own director's cut.
Well, Rocky 4, from what I recall, was something that, while definitely a bad movie, was something people...
Rocky 4 is fun.
Also, Bentley doesn't really understand how therapy works, but I'll give you the best. He's more brain and not really a psychologist.
Think about it like this. Bentley's the brain, Murray's more the heart.
Yeah, pretty much. Not just the muscle, but the heart. Well, which, to be fair, heart is a muscle, so...
Yeah.
Details.
Yeah, pretty much. This contributes to have us playing Murray for the first time in the game with a brand new technique learned through his peace treatment. Yes.
Sure, like my first week. Excellent. Tuck into ball form and clog that vent.
Yes, apparently Murray can use his form as a bouncing ball. Just roll with it.
Of course.
It's Australian.
That's because he learned it in Australia, which we'll get into the second episode, actually. Which reminds me to a bit of a correction, because Jovad asked me this question about my favorite villain episode. It's most episode 4 instead, not 3.
Okay.
I got confused for one episode more.
That probably makes more sense, because 4 is definitely something up your alley. We'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah. There we go. By using these, you let build steam so you can start being propelled, and then you can start using that to smash the tar pits. Interestingly enough, this type of gameplay system is actually quite well refined, because depending on the height of the object that you're bouncing on, your impact will have more or less recoil when you actually get bounced. So if you bounce on the ground, but when you get on the roof, the rooftop of a building, you will have less propulsion for your next bounce. I actually don't know how you can even program this kind of thing, but we managed to pull it off.
Maybe they put in an exponential value in regards to.
Again, I'm not really a programmer, especially for these things, so I don't know actually how they pulled it off. But I really like the idea behind it.
Good on them for that.
Sadly, Murray will be able to use this technique throughout pretty much the rest of the game. Sadly, it doesn't really have it for Thieves in Time, which is kind of a shame. Again, it has to be expected, because the series always plays with the whole losing powers in between games without explaining too much about it. But I do believe they could have pulled it off something similar to this. Yeah, this also gives me a good time to mention something else. Once again, for the score, Peter McCollum returns, and much like with Sly 2, is still on point. Specifically also for this episode, he also nails the type of opera, type of, music that could have been used in a Venice theater, which is pretty cool. So, once again, despite having so many different type of music styles, he seemed to be managing quite well enough between each other, so that's pretty cool.
Gary. It's a pleasure to see you back in action.
Yeah, well, I haven't forgotten who my friends are.
Aww.
I'm just playing with a different deck.
Sure.
Yes, Murray, you totally won't be joining us again, even though your icon truly shows you back in your typical Thieves attire. Oops.
Anyway, for the next one, Bentley has take control of a butcher shop and use it for his fireworks.
Yeah, it's a fireworks.
But the problem is the icon that was near it was about essentially a butcher shop, so relocated place. Essentially, this is it is a particular gameplay style that is seen somewhere else, but I don't know if I'm sure how to define it. Essentially, Sly will have a bomb that we will need to deliver to the target in a time limit, otherwise you explode. Because Bentley is a sadistic fuck.
Unfortunately, I'm a little short on fuses.
Are you sure about that, Bentley?
I'll be quick.
I mean, to be fair, Sly is seeing this as a challenge anyway, so there's not really a problem, but still. Yeah, in this case you actually need to run even past the guards, you completely ignore them. Otherwise this shit happens.
And Sly Cooper died.
Unless he
Well
died.
done, Bentley. You killed your best friend.
Bits of raccoon were scattered all over Venice. The opera,
How romantic.
The opera houses would soon pay tribute to the heroic actions of Sly Cooper and the unfortunately stupid circumstances that led to his demise.
Actually, he's not really gone, Bentley. He's just floating around polluting somewhere else airspace.
It's probably going to let off a stratospheric air damage too.
This is funny, interesting thing. Venice, I think it was Venice that was featured in the first Tomb Raider movie.
I think so, yeah.
Or at least, according to that movie, is where the Illuminati regularly meets.
Ferocious beast.
Of course they do.
The first Tomb Raider movie is special, and I really do mean that.
It's incredibly silly.
Yeah. I admit, I legit do like it. It's not like the second movie, which tries to be down to earth and serious.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember two things about... Also, yeah, by the way, Carmelita sometimes will roam around the war map too. Go on, Lives.
Oh boy.
As like, I know this might come off as hyperbole to some people, but I am honest. I would much rather watch a Uwe Boll movie than watch Cradle of Life.
Okay, I remember like either two or three things from Cradle of Life. The initial scene where Lara punches a CGI shark underwater, the sex scene, and like near the end where some CGI monsters start to appear.
It depends on what Uwe Boll you're talking about. If it's Alone in the Dark, sure, I like making fun of Alone in the Dark. If it's something like Blood Rain, Blood Rain is...
Okay, I'll put it this way. It's directed by Jan de Bont post-Speed.
I mean...
So basically, Ian de Bont, while he was doing stuff like Twister and the Haunting remake.
And it was... And Cradle of Life, up to this point, that was the last film he directed, and that came out in 2003.
That's the thing, Tio. Whereas The Haunting and Twister are horrific, but they do have value in watching, Cradle of Life is just so goddamn boring.
Yeah, I actually watched the 2018 film reboot in cinemas, and while I wouldn't call it a very good movie, it was at least more entertaining than Cradle of Life.
Granted, a cat batting around a ball of yarn would have been more entertaining than Cradle of Life.
But calling it Cradle of Life is a bit of an ironic title, isn't it?
Here's something you also... here's something of interest. Just because a movie is more entertaining doesn't necessarily mean it's a better movie. By that logic, The Happening would be the best movie ever made. I mean...
I don't know. Yeah, we could mock Uwe Boll's horrific handling of scenes like that terrible, quote-unquote, action scene in Alone in the Dark. But at least his ineptness is entertaining.
Oh shit!
That's completely. That goes. You're literally ignoring my point, though, by saying that.
I know it's entirely subjective, but still.
Anyway.
Yes, Pedro?
No, go ahead.
No, but there's a thing, Dwebs, you're but there's a thing, Dwebs, you're entirely ignoring my point. Regardless of, the entertainment factor has zero impact on the movie's actual proper quality. You know, when you get right down, because the entertainment value, you can get entertainment value from plenty of bad things.
Oh, no, Corridor 5 has plenty of quality problems.
Sly Cooper. My boy,
With dodgy CGI.
Those pictures of me you sent to the cops. Nice try, but I own this town.
Put my friend down, or I'm gonna knock out all of your teeth, one at a time, and make you eat them.
How even?
I'm quaking in my boots.
Back in my day.
That would make people pee their pants just as soon as a look at them.
Believe me, old-timer, I don't make idle threats.
Oh, I know all about you and your cracked little guy. You ain't nothing without these little guys' brains. So, I figure I'll just scoop
That actually is pretty clever, though.
Why?
I'm allergic to
That's besides the point, Bentley.
Bentley, he's going to kill you.
Also, these guys are surprisingly fast.
I mean, that's the thing. You think he's just an old kook, but no, he is capable. And, to give him credit, it is actually wise to try and take out, the brains of the operation.
Similar to the Nina segments in the second game, you just need to keep up. You can't really... You can actually hit him this time, and it shows some minor flinching, but it will not slow him down or anything. But at least they bothered to put in the fact that your hit actually do get registered, so there is that.
And yet, surprisingly, he is faster than Neela. Well, and mind you, Neela wasn't even carrying a tortoise in a wheelchair. This guy is carrying the full package. And
what do you mean, Corey? I'm right next to you.
Sly.
For her, did he more be ahead of you?
Power up! You want this rant? Take it!
And yeah, he just drops it because...
You guys are dead!
You okay, Bentley?
I'm fine. My ego's bruised, but it'll heal.
Okay.
Oh, that was a close call. Back to business then.
Well, yeah, because it's now time for the final operation. Well, the operation of the title, actually.
Well, Octavio's comeback opera recital just a few hours away. We're all set up for the main event.
Operation Tar Be Gone.
Tar Be Gone. Our objective, get Murray back on the team. Sly, you'll start things off by using your disguise to sneak into the opera house. Make your way down to the pump room and let me in through the side entrance. Thanks to the blueprints we stole, I now know...
And basically bomb the shit out of it.
...cripple the machinery. Then we'll go for Octavio's detonation switch. I'm sure you'd agree that we just can't leave a weapon that powerful in the hands of such a madman. So I'll distract the old monster with an opera...
Bentley, are you even sure you can do that?
His ego, Gio, his ego.
Bentley really has a hidden side.
Honestly, I think it's thanks to Sly and Murray's influences that Bentley didn't go on to become a supervillain.
This actually would be questioned near the end of the game, ironically, so maybe the writers were onto something.
That's the thing. Bentley, who you would normally take to be like, oh, the quirky sidekick, is arguably the one with the biggest potential for destruction.
And remember, he has also the highest body count.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Octavio is due to arrive for the opera recital in just a few minutes.
We did a good job taking out the advertising. No one's shown up to listen. No audience means no demolition demonstration.
It's a good thing this was done while the internet was not as popular.
Yeah, otherwise he could just stream it to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, heck,
mind you, I'm pretty sure we'd be able to stop that.
No problem, signore.
Depends. That really depends, Dweebs.
That does make me consider, though, if they do make a new Sly Cooper game, they'll probably update it so that it does pay mind to more Modern
15
stuff.
15 time already starts something similar to that by having, for example, Bentley's recap instead of being, stills, instead being an actual like PowerPoint style presentation. So there is that. But otherwise, we haven't done that much with it.
Can you chuck him in the canal?
Yeah, so much like the other games, Dweebs, you can actually push enemies into bottomless pits and similar obstacles like this one. So there is that.
There's already tar in there. We don't need to pollute it further.
Yeah, here it is.
Tenor bass, tenor.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Halt! What was last night's
I
password?
just told this other guy the
Did you
password.
not hear?
Well,
These guards have the attention memory span.
Oh my god, it's final. It's Cypher all over again.
Okay. To be fair, unlike Cypher, it's two different guards, but yeah, it is a bit weird that the guy right next to him didn't hear.
Listen, yeah. They just need to be super sure, Joe.
Seeds are supposed to. Oh, sorry. Seeds are supposed to eliminate the entire G army. Literally 2 seconds later, Cypher. So what are we supposed to do? Like.
Cypher is not exactly bright.
Anyway, like Bentley said, keep these guys on, otherwise you'll be caught immediately. Okay.
You must be getting paid well then.
Halt! What was last night's password?
Easy one. Here you go.
Alto, tenor, alto.
Sorry about that.
Also, I know what you're wondering. Considering the accent and everything, how is this episode actually handled in my country's version? I think I mentioned somewhere else, maybe in one of the previous games, but Venice, people in Venice actually do have a particular minor type of accent, so they actually use that. But it's not as very as thick as we try to pull for an Italian accent compared to an English language. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's a good job. It's a good job this isn't like Ape Escape, where they have where for some reason they have 2 English dubs, one for America and one for Britain.
Yes, sir.
Aside from Gex and Ape Escape, I forgot if there are other major game franchises that do that.
Well, we have 2 different English looks. That counts.
I think TV Tropes calls it same language dub.
Anyway, you need to pull the whole 3, 2, 1, press the button, but with the villain this time it's weirdly humorous.
It's the trope that gave birth to the to Dougal.
Oh right, I forgot about that. The magic roundabout, Jova.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, what's the connection?
It was dubbed in one way in America and another in the UK.
Nice to see you, pal.
How neat.
No, it isn't.
The American version is considered a less product because it focuses more on very cheap humor and apparently was handled by the Weinstein Company.
Oh, don't worry, I know all about that one. And seriously, when we commentate on Dougal, okay, was the movie dubbed differently or is it Dougal on all fronts?
Basically, we just dubbed the British one. We just basically dubbed over the French one, whereas America just made some edits and changes to the script and had American actors.
So, okay, so question. Is the UK one, does that have a different script as well?
Pretty much.
But the UK one came first.
The story overall is technically the same, but the American version essentially sprinkles it with a lot of, all of different types of references and types of humor that weren't there in the original.
I'll admit, when we do cover Dougal, the American version, we're still gonna have to do a roundabout game for every time they make a pop cultural reference.
Or every time they have Judi Dench having to explain stuff to the Americans who don't believe about the magic happen.
Honestly, I don't even remember that much about the movie's plot, nor I even, watched the original. series this was based on, so I don't really have a connection.
It's not every day you get a movie that literally references both Pirates of the Caribbean and Thomas the Tank Engine.
Also Lord of the Rings, because Ian McKellen was in the American dub.
Octavio's recital?
We're right on schedule. If my calculations are correct, he should be about to perform an aria originally written as a duet. That's when we
How convenient. Also, you really didn't remove the tar, Bentley.
Think he'll really let you on stage with him?
Of course, he's a musician. He'll be overjoyed to have a lyrical counterpoint. Just be ready.
You mean the guy who he tried to kidnap and was going to fertilize?
You're going for all of assumptions today.
I have to say, Bentley, you seem very confident for somebody who, nearly got whacked by this guy.
I guess maybe he just doesn't care anymore. He's just trying everything he can.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting that impression, actually.
To be fair, like I said, maybe he's become a bit of a death seeker after his accident.
I think he's the one that needs a therapist.
See, even he's asking if he's got a death wish.
Opera singing.
You're a vocalist. Fine. A duet is coming up. We'll sing it first, and then I'll gut you.
Fair enough.
Bring it on, Grandpa. I'll sing you under the
table. That line comes from the first Spider-Man PS1 games. It's just a different. Bring it on, Grandpa.
Also, last I checked, duets aren't supposed to be competitions. I know Beyonce.
I'm pretty sure he called him a geriatric earlier.
And yes, this is basically how the same way how it worked for the dance sequence in the second game. It's basically a sing-along. It's fairly challenging. It's not super difficult. Again, as long as you're not picking your nose or something, you should be good to go. And yes, by the way, since each button press it's tied to its own sound effect, you can make every sound completely out of sync intentionally.
I love how Bentley sounds like he's auto-tuned.
Also, for the final portion, you can actually do some trickery depending on the button press. I sadly could not manage to pull it off, but like if you press like a certain combination, Bentley starts doing air guitar out of nowhere. Because
Whoa, are we in Banjo-Kazooie all of a sudden?
Kinda, I guess we're going through that vibe. Also, how much closer do you need to be, Sly, before dropping the thing on top of him? Whatever.
Okay, for the opera singer, did they actually get an opera singer to do that?
No, the voice actors are technically the same. I guess maybe they just had some type of, coaching. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And he broke the screen.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Carmelita. Always at the wrong time.
You could have joined in if you wanted to. I'm sure you can
No,
sing.
remember, Shira, Carmelita has kind of lost the sense of humor in this game. Oh, of course.
Well,
hashtag thanks, Carmelita.
Yeah. First thing first, you will need to chase him and, start shooting his own boat. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Carmelita, we don't have time to play.
I need immediate pickup. Criminals are headed east. All units converge.
Roger.
Sorry, Cooper. This time I've got you surrounded.
Sure you are.
Right.
Spoiler sheet on it.
Can you go any faster?
You'll be telling me why a coyote finally caught
You're the one
Roadrunner.
driving this.
Actually, Bentley is the one shooting. The thing he's handling is instead the turret. Yeah, that's also a good thing to talk about. The turret section are pretty much the same in terms of cooling down from the second game, sadly, which means you don't really have that much room to shoot, and you need to wait a bit before cooling down. I think it's just a bit better compared to the previous game, but not by much. To tell you that.
I'm still really wondering why, especially considering how much of a pioneer it was in terms of shooting mechanics. I'm still wondering why the hell Gears of War was the only one that thought up of the whole, press the R1 button repeatedly to cool down faster. That is so convenient in sections of this sort. I'm also surprised. I don't understand why no other game picked up on that, especially considering how many games took from that. It's weird.
Maybe they figured that would be too broken and that would make the whole...
Yes, but it's fun, more fun still.
That's the thing, Jova. It needs to be... The entire mechanic behind the turret section needs to be thought in terms of how it needs to, impact the gameplay. aka how much do you want the player to shoot before the cooldown and how much do you want it to happen, Depending on these two factors, you can easily put in the cooldown speed up mechanic, as a way to circumvent that. You can have it that the cooldown takes potentially longer, so you are more encouraged to do that as a result, a sort of trick to do that.
With the police boats being in the way, it reminds me when I was younger and I was playing Crash 3, the bike levels where all these cars are in the way. I always thought that if you bumped into a police car, you instantly lose a life by a policeman putting his hand out the window and pulling you in.
I mean,
that's kind of what happens with Bubsy. Alright, time for the actual boss fight. And by the way, we're at the same location where we started, so technically not much has changed.
It's a roundabout.
It's over, Octavio.
We have the high ground.
Give us the demolition switch and we'll all try to ditch these cops.
You chasing me for this? Fine, big shot. Took me 6 months to prepare this thing. But what the hey, I got more where this came from.
You guys see that boat go out of control and jump and
Hurry.
that thing? Destruction! So
Get the idea, the therapy is cooling off.
You think that was a cool, punk?
Oh dear.
Well, that happened.
You monster! Stop it!
There will be chaos out in the streets. Oh snap!
I need your help. I've
He
never
literally
seen
just
someone
kicked a
move that
pair of
Oh
wings
no,
out
my
of his
friend has been
wheelchair.
knocked out his
Let's
wheelchair.
take him together.
But I vouch my guru that I...
Alright, sometimes you just need to figure out
Seriously,
what's happening
Sly.
to the moment.
Sly, your friend got knocked out of his wheelchair. You could react a little bit, you prick.
Now, let's take it.
No, he's asking Murray to help.
Hippo. Your wheelchair friend should have been so smart.
Seriously, not even no!
He could just run over your feet.
That does it! I'll floss my teeth with your spine!
Jesus Christ, you're not Sub-Zero.
Oh boy.
The Murray returns!
Yay. And yeah, much like with Rajan, in the second game you kind of have to earn this fight. First, you'll need to trap Don Octavio in the tar pit that is forming here, so he cannot be as fast, and then actually starts beating him. It's not as easy as it sounds, because it can still damage you and can take quite a big chunk of your health, so...
That is the thing about... Oh, sorry.
So go on.
It's fitting. He's hoisted by his own petard, being the tar, but yeah, that's the thing about Don Octavio. Again, he seems like a joke at first, but no, he actually does mean business.
Speaking of, here's an interesting thing. When you say the Murray, it depends which one. If it's anti-Murray, then yeah, you're speeding up.
Like I mentioned, Wibbs, normally Barry has this type of wrestling personality, so basically that's his title.
It's a good job it's not the Murray from the Joker movie.
You get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, I love that movie.
Moving to the next tar valve. Murray, these pumps are out of tar. I saw some more valves over by the cop station.
How convenient.
Supply.
Weren't you surrounded?
Without the tar, I'll crush you boys
Yeah, sure.
like a bugs.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
Get back here!
Well, that's the thing, though. He is legit. It is not recommended to face him without the tar pit.
No, I think you can still damage him, but he's too fast normally.
It'd be like Scorpion. Get over here!
I guess.
But I'm not holding back no longer. Listen to the song of your
And yes, much like with characters like Songbird, you can actually use his sound as a weapon.
Nice.
of his own triumph. Quit talking, stupid kid, and die!
How nice of you.
Jesus.
Well, he's a lion, so it makes sense that his roar would be one
Power of
of the
opera, I shall destroy you.
Why not, I guess. They told me that music was deadly, but not like this. Also, sadly, you don't have a dedicated boss theme, and instead you have the traditional Battlefield video game Venice. This is a bit weird, especially because in the second game had, you know, dedicated boss themes. Ow. Also, I make it look a bit easy, but again, if you're careless, you can actually take a lot of damage in this fight. So basically, try to avoid getting hit as much as you can, because otherwise you'll be dead very quickly.
Yeah.
This tar valve's dry. I'll open another. Hang tight.
Sure.
I'm ready. Lure him in.
Of course, it's right in
There
front
we go.
of the police station.
So that's it. The old guard's out, and a new generation steps in.
Don't worry, it's fine.
That's right. Stepping in. Big time.
Come on, Murray. I got the demolition switch.
Guess that's one way to resolve a generational conflict, to beat the shit out of the other. And there we go. Every time you complete the episode, you get these the steel belt with all 3 characters. So the good news is that we get Murray back in the team.
With the fight
Bad
over,
news.
we went back and
There is none. Well, aside from the fact that there's no collateral damage, I guess.
It was touch and go for a while there, but we managed to sneak out right under Carmelita's nose.
Of course, getting coffee, because, you know, Venice and all.
Octavio wasn't so lucky. The guy got 30 years behind bars for what he did to Venice. I guess Italians don't like it when you sink their land.
No, not really.
Ironically, he found success as a singer while in jail. After all, most of his old fan base was already in the clink.
I guess
Oh,
not.
that's
So
convenient.
that's a happy ending.
Yeah, it is.
Once he put on those gloves and that mask, it was clear to everyone, most of all him, that the Murrays had returned.
Yay!
So everybody
So
wins.
we get, every time we complete one of the episodes, we get these live at showcase, every new member added to the team, which is pretty cool. So, in looking forward to expansion. So, tune in instead next episode, sorry, next part where the second episode begins, and we go instead to see Murray's trainer in Australia, specifically the Outback. So, see you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
See ya.